That vibration on the bedside table was recorded in my memory forever. It was 2 in the morning when Max's cell phone vibrated with an intensity that seemed to crack the world in half. I was lonely toward the glass of water and unintentionally knocked the device on the floor. The screen came on. Elena, a name that, accompanied by those 3 little words, would freeze any wife's blood. I miss you. The hands trembled. The phone was unlocked. Max always forgot to put password after the updates. My head shouted, "Leave quiet. Don't run away. Don't do that." But something inside me already knew there was a bomb about to explode. And I, as an idiot, decided to pull the wicked out of voice message. 47 seconds of sweet poison. Hi, love. Her voice was luscious, but with a tone of desire so vulgar that he gave me nausea. I can't take it off my head last night, as you touched me as you promised you would leave her after the birthday trip. Only 6 months, honey. 6 months and I won't have to share you with anyone. I love you in a way she will never make it. The room began to spin. 6 years of marriage. The apartment on the plant we bought sweating blood. The digital marketing agency that erects from scratch. Light nights. Cold coffee and shared dreams. Everything became dust. I heard that recording 1, 2, 10 times. The heart beat so hard that it seemed to want to go out of the throat. A chest pain so sharp that breathing hurt, but along with the pain came something else, a cold, surgical clarity, as if all emotions had been turned off, leaving only a cold and calculating plan. I didn't wake him up. I didn't shout it. I didn't let the tears fall. I sent the audio to my email, put the phone back in place, as if nothing had happened, and lay down with the man who suddenly became a stranger. I stared at the ceiling, planning every step with the same accuracy as it set up campaigns for customers. Methodical, distant, as if I were elaborating the strategy of a game where I finally were the player. The next morning I kissed him when he said goodbye. He went to Sao Paulo to close an important business. I smiled as he sent a message saying he was going to miss. I answered with our usual good night, love and a heart emoji. I recorded everything, each word, every gesture. He represented his naive wife that she didn't suspect anything, while something new grew within me. A determination that I didn't even recognize myself. Because Max wasn't cheating on anyone. He was cheating with Elena Chernova, her college passion, who had reappeared in our life a year ago, just when her advisory office became our partner. That same Germany that, in the last 2 months, had become my best friend. Lunch on Wednesdays, purchases on weekends. The same Elena who helped me organize Max's birthday surprise party, held my hand and swore, "He's very lucky with you." Anna, the same Elena who was engaged to Paulo, Max's best friend since the MBA. And guess what? The wedding was scheduled for 6 months from now, exactly the deadline she and Max arranged for him to let me go. So it is. A Mexican soap opera cliche. But happening in my life. I was the only sucker who didn't see what was right in front of me. The time consuming at the table. The jokes that only they understood. The accidental touches when passing a document. I justified everything as ancient frigid, convincing me that I was paranoid. After all, I was Anna Fedorova Strawn, independent, owner of a successful digital agency. Customers called me insightful, detailed, a reader of people. Irony of destiny. The only betrayal I didn't see was the one that happened in my own bed. But do you know something? I wasn't just a betrayed woman. I was a fighter, used to facing problems with front, documenting every detail, due to burn each offense in memory. As I sat in the kitchen rolling months of conversations between them, I found that the Max email password was predictable to the point of eagerness to vomit. And that's where I took an oath. Their scam would end in a way that even in their bolder dreams they would imagine. A strange calm invaded me. No screen, no jealousy scene, no flat tires. No, what I planned required patience, accuracy, and the perfect moment. After all, I learned from the best. I spent months watching 2 masters of manipulation. Now it was my turn to govern the orchestra. In the next 2 months, he deserved an Oscar. He smiled at dinner 3, hugged Helena when she asked me to be godmother of the wedding. "You're like a sister," she said. We discussed the details of the party. I nodded with empathy as she complained that Paul worked too much. "What do you think of this salon?" she asked, showing photos of the Metropole Hotel, the same place where, according to extracts and reserves, Max and Helena have met 17 times in the last 9 months. "Beautiful," he answered, mentally writing down every information. "Their technology is great. A big screen, projector perfect for the video of the ceremony." She looked at me with those holy eyes, who actually had nothing innocent. "I don't know what it would do without you, Anna. You're an angel." The wooden face had no limits. Sometimes I wondered if she enjoyed my involvement, if it was all part of her game making me organize the wedding that would officialize her in my place. While, in the shadows, I planned to steal my husband. Max, in turn, had lost any shame. He'd arrived late at work, invented meetings on weekends, the unfaithful husband's classic manual. Once, he returned home smelling of a perfume that was not mine. When I asked, he invented it was a sample of the mall. I wrote down the brand. A week later, I saw Alina posting on the networks my favorite perfumes to give. Again, I found proof of an expensive dinner in the center. The night he swore he was working late. It invented an elaborate story about important customers. I heard everything with an almost sincere smile. 6 years together, and I had no idea that he was so good at lying. Or was this talent new, just for Alina? Each discovery was a punch in the stomach. A second bank account, linked to a card you used in Tinkoff. Work calls always at the same time, when he went out to the porch take a signal. Transfers to a S. Burbank account on the days when I traveled to visit my sister. A false profile on Telegram, where they exchanged obscene messages disguised as discussions about marketing strategies. I had given everything to this man. My youth, my expertise. I was the one who tripled his client wallet. My support when his father discovered cancer. Sleepless nights in the early years of the business. And my reward, watch him plan his escape, pretending to be all right. The trigger came on our wedding anniversary. 6 years together, and he had his face to toast to the many years of happiness. I lifted my glass and smiles as tears, which he interpreted as emotion, dripped by the face. You know, I was thinking, he took my hand on the table. How about a trip to Fernando de Noronha? You always wanted to. Next spring would be perfect. Next spring, when, according to messages, he would be free. The calculated cruelty of that moment left me without air. He built a future that he did not intend to fulfill. Sounds wonderful. I squeezed his hand. I don't see the time. That night, while he slept, I found something new on his cell phone. A video of Alina, looking at the camera with that feline air, the low, intimate voice. Enough to seal my plan. Because this time the piece would not be theirs. It would be mine, and I would guarantee that the end was unforgettable. Civil. In 2 months, I would be facing the altar, but my heart would only see you. If I am with the wrong man, but it is the only coverage we have left. He rehearsed my yes in front of the mirror, imagining his face in his place. This theater consumes me, but I am willing to be with you. I record this so that you remember why we can handle the scam. I love you, Maxim. Only you. Forever. Her words echoed in my head as I watched the video for the urged time, the trembling fingers almost letting the phone escape. When I finally managed to send the recording to myself, I ran to the bathroom and emptied myself at violent craving, until only bile and a furious tear that burned like acid. It was not a case. It was not a passing passion. It was calculated betrayal, performed with the accuracy of a surgeon who knows exactly where to cut to cause more pain. They not only deceived us, we used us. In the messages, they argued with a frightening coldness as they would keep the appearances until the marriage. How the merger of our companies would allow them to expel me and Pavel from the business we built with sweat. They spoke of using our connections, our resources, as if we were mere steps on their rotten staircase. That night, something inside me left forever. Anna, the woman who believed in second chances, died there, drowned in her own vomiting. Who left the bathroom was no longer her. It was someone with nothing to lose and with an arsenal of evidence to present. I gave you everything. I whispered to my reflection in the mirror, as tears not in pain, but of such a concentrated anger that it looked like nitroglycerin dripped by the face. And he would discard me like a used napkin. In the morning, I exploded, but not as they expected. Anya, what is it? Maxim looked at me surprised to meet me at 5 in the morning with a cup of coffee and a pile of documents. I lifted my eyes and gave her the sweetest smile of my repertoire the work does not expect. I landed the pen, pretending lightness. I heard you and Pavel have planned a fishing for centuries. Why don't you go now? The two are exhausted, and he gets home soon, then they won't have time. I saw panic go through his eyes fast, almost imperceptible. But I captured him. The idea of spending a weekend with his friend who brought clearly not warmed him. Danya. I have the customer Ivan shelling up and I take care of it. I cut smoothly. You walk strange, tense. I got up, wrapped his shoulders from behind, feeling it harden before force relaxation. I just want you to be happy. The irony of the situation did not escape us. He didn't know I knew every comma in his scam. As he accepted the suggestion, mentally marked another victory. The board was turning, although he didn't realize it yet. He thought he controlled the game, but I, peace, set up the puzzle of his ruin. At night, I called Alina with a casual tone, as if she was just a worried friend. Ah, how cool. She exclaimed to hear about the fishing, but detected the irritation note in her voice. Pavel said they needed some of them. You know, man's thing. Yeah, I imagined that. I turned the screw gently. So we have more time for your party preparations. By the way, I wanted to help with a banquet show. I'm gathering your and Pavel photos over the years a strategic break. Funny, in half of them you have Maxim, as in the old days of college. But we are all friends. She laughed, forced, but the tension in her voice betrayed her. The silence that followed was music to my ears. That's right, my dear. Dance it would be amazing. Anya, you are too good with me. Really, I agreed, smiling at the phone. The game had started. I needed allies, but not any allies. The first call went to Margarita, my former Republic colleague and now a relentless divorce lawyer. During the lunch, I unfolded everything at the table: audios, videos, bank statements, the meticulous chronology of betrayal. Anya, you'll leave you on underpants. She pushed the untouched salad, her eyes shining with a mixture of professional admiration and thirst for justice. With these evidence, the infidelity clause in the wedding contract is unbreakable. Apartment, car, everything goes to you. He loses the right to complain. She lowered her voice. And it's not just a message. No, need the consummate act. You know what I mean. I know, I said, surprised by the coldness of my own voice. But it's not just about Maxon. It's about both. About how they betrayed me, not only me, but to Pavel. As they planned to destroy us. Margarita studied me for a long moment before nodding. What do you need? Time, information, and access to their wedding party. She hit the perfect nails on the table. To the party. His eyes narrowed. Anya, are you sure? Divorcing is one thing, but what you plan, it's very public, very brutal. I leaned forward, the low and firm voice. They spent months building their happiness on our bones. Tell me, what reaction would it be proportional to this? Margarita sighed, but I saw the fire of understanding light on her. She had already seen enough betrayals to know that some deserved a special verdict. All within the law, he warned. No improvisation, nothing that can burn you later. Of course, I agreed. I don't want revenge. I want justice. And I want the truth exposed to the sun. In the end, I set up a small but lethal team. Margarita for legal shielding. My brother Denny's, a cybersecurity expert, ensured that all evidence be preserved and had access to their systems. And the most valuable surprise, Genia, Elena's assistant. It makes me reschedule all Pavel meetings just to open windows to Maxon. Genia confessed to our secret meeting the nose of the tight white fingers, and I still laugh at my face. They call him Kormoko in front, but from the back his voice was shaking with anger. They say he's just a necessary trampoline. Genia also collected evidence, part by self-defense, departs for penalty of Pavel. He's a good man, he said. It doesn't deserve it. You don't either. She handed me the calendar of Elena, with encrypted meetings, and sent emails where Elena bragged from the romance to her best friend. Pavel is dumb like a cork, he wrote, laughing at how much I was busy to notice her husband's escapes. Each new revelation was a cement in my determination. It was not a slip. It was an execution. I gathered ammunition with surgical accuracy, voice messages, video confessions, Azima vouchers, geolocalizations proving that they lied about where they were, bank extracts with expensive gifts to each other, screen catches where they planned the future that depended on kicking us, Pavel and me. The business we built with blood. But I needed more than proof of one case. I needed to understand the end of their game. Thanks to Genia's surveillance and insights, the picture became clear. Maxim and Elena planned to merge my digital agency with her PR company after the wedding. Then they would throw us out like garbage. They even had prepared documents, copies that were now in my hands, detailing the restructuring of companies after taking control. They opened offshores to launder money, as Genia discovered in a confectionery conversation. They are already moving active, she whispered, shocked. Elena transferred part of her heritage last week, and the worst, his face paled. I found a hidden email exchange. They have a 5-year plan. The contacts of the family of Pavel will give us access to the contract with Rogozin, wrote Maxim. As soon as we have this, we will have enough levers are a little by the Anna. She won't even notice. They not only betrayed us, hunted us. The fastest way to exit, but there was no escape. Every detail, every word, every meticulously documented betrayal now shone in bottles on the screen, illuminated by the spotlight that should celebrate a love, but instead they exposed a scan. Pavel was paralyzed. His fingers, who seconds earlier squeezed the crystal glass with an unintended gift, now trembled. The eyes, once full of devotion to me, turned into 2 dark cracks of unbelief. He looked at Elena, then to Maxim, then to the screen, as if the impact of each image pushed him deeper into a deep back well. When your lips moved, no sound came out. It was not necessary. His face was already shouting everything. How? Why? How long? Elena tried to get up, but her legs failed. She fell back in the chair, her hands confused in the fabric of the dress that I helped choose. Annie's lips formed my name, a supplication or a curse, could not be distinguished. But I didn't look at her. My eyes were fixed in Pavel, waiting for the moment the truth to hit him like a punch in the stomach. And when it arrived, it was worse than I imagined. Maxim finally found my direction in the sea of shocked faces. His gaze was not guilt, no. It was pure, poisonous hatred, the type that promises retaliation. He knew, at the same moment, that all that had been devised by me, that I had been the silent shadow behind every smile, with every disinterested help, with every detail of that perfect trap. And for the first time, he was afraid, because a man like Maxim only fears one thing, losing control. The guests began to murmur, then speaking loudly until the hall exploded in a chaos of overlapping voices. Someone shouted, "This is a joke." Another, "Call security." But it was not a joke, and safety could not erase what was already set to fire in the memory of each person there. Pavel finally got up, not with the elegance of before, but with the rigidity of a man who suddenly carries the weight of a crumbling world. He didn't look at me. I didn't need to. I knew I was there, witness and executioner at the same time. Instead, he turned to Alina, who now cried in convulsive sobs, the tears running down the impeccable makeup that I retoured hours earlier in truth. Her voice broke in the middle of the question, as if the sound couldn't get out of a throat strangled by pain. She didn't answer. I couldn't. The truth was there, in technicolor, in crystalline audio, and evidence like the best lawyer in the world could refute. Maxim, in turn, was already moving toward the exit. But Denny's my brother, my accomplice. My shield blocked his way with a smile that didn't come to the eyes. The party is over, Maxim, but the night is still long. The veiled threat caused the blood to drain from the traitor's face. He knew what was ahead, and for the first time, I didn't have a plan B. I got up finally, not like the godmother of marriage, not as a betrayed friend, but as the woman who had recovered what was her dignity. And as I walked toward the exit, not running, not hiding, but with the upright posture of those who just won a war, I heard Pavel call my name. Anya. A syllable. A world of unsuccessful questions, an explanation request that would never come there. Not that way. I turned around, just for a second. Our eyes met, and for the first time in months there were no lies between us, just a cruel, necessary truth, and the silence that followed it. "Now you know." That's all I said. And I left, leaving behind the chaos I had sowed myself, because some truths are not made to be whispered. Some need to be shouted, even that this means burning everything in the process. After all, they chose the fire. Now burn on it. The source of truth was relentless. Wide eyes of panic. Pavel slowly rose from the main table, his face from confusion to recognition, and then to the emptiness. The video didn't stop. His own words condemned them, their exposed plans, their cruelty displayed to anyone who wanted to see. Before Aliona's mother reached the control booth, the last slide appeared. Black background, white text. "The truth hurts, but the lie kills. Pavel, you deserved more. We both deserved it." What followed was a deliciously fair chaos. Aliona shouted that everything was fake, until her own voice, her own gestures, betrayed her. Maxim tried to reach me, but was barred by my brother and 3 cousins of Pavel, who understood the situation in the blink of an eye. Aliona's father required them to cut the broadcast, to line music. But it was late. Everyone had seen. The guests got up, some running to the exit, others paralyzed, others filming with the cell phones. Pavel's mother was comforted by her sister. Aliona's friends surrounded her into a protective circle as she alternated between tears and furious looks, looking for me in the crowd. I walked calmly to Pavel, still in the middle of the hall. "I regret it," said softly, "but you needed to know before the record. Today is a party, but legally, you are still strange." His eyes, a mixture of pain and gratitude, stared at me. "How long have you known?" "Time enough." And it wasn't everything. I handed him a USB stick, financial documents, business plans. After the fusion, that would throw us out like garbage. His hand tightened the device so hard that it seemed about to break. At all this was it. There was no answer that no longer hurt him. Before I could say something, Aliona released her friends and came toward us, out of control. "Pasha, my love, please." The mask dripped down his face. "It's not what it seems. She said everything. We heard your voice." Aliona, Pavel cuckold. "We saw your face." She then turned her fury to me. "You are a psychopath. Destroyed everything!" Exclamation. I turned to her. "Serena, no. Aliona, you who destroyed." I just turned on the projector. Maxim finally managed to get to me, grabbing my arm. "Anna, we need to talk in particular. This is inappropriate." "Inappropriate?" I laughed, dryly. "How to plan to steal my business, or discuss which customers were you going to take." "Don't worry, dear. I'd already entered the divorce, and everyone in our industry received copies of their plans. Smiles. Good luck finding customers after that. And then came the moment that no one would forget. Pavel's grandmother, a small woman of unqualified posture, approached Aliona and removed her family necklace from her neck. My grandson is too good to let theirs steal your life, he announced loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Aliona took her hands to her neck. Wide eyes, Anna Petrovna. Please, I saw it enough. The old woman cut, turning to her grandson. Pasha, your grandfather and I go. Join us when ready. She walked away with the dignity of a queen. The straight emerald necklace in her hand. Security has arrived, but not to interrupt my presentation, as Maxim and Aliona expected. It was to escort them out, at the request of Pavel's father, who had taken control of the situation at an impressive speed. The party is over, he said to the guests. I ask you to remove your belongings. We apologize for the unforeseen events. The last thing I remember that night, Maxim and Aliona being taken by different exits. His future meticulously built collapsed before his eyes, while Pavel's father said calmly, Colin, the wedding has not yet been recorded. That's how it was planned. I precautioned. When he left, Pavel reached me in the lobby. You could have told me personally, your voice hoarse. You wouldn't have believed. I remembered. When I questioned her behavior, you said I was paranoid. Who was jealous of their friendship. He lowered his head, reliving that conversation. I was blind. I didn't want to see me too. I nodded. For more time than you, and no, for the first time that night. I really smile now. We rebuild our lives. Separated, but free. They wanted our business, our connections, our confidence. Now they have nothing. Thanks, he said finally, for having the courage to do what I couldn't see. When walking to the car, I felt the cell phone vibrate. Margarita's message. First meeting with Maxim's lawyer tomorrow, 9 a.m. I looked back at Metropole, where a wedding party had become a court of truths. Some will say I was cruel. That public exposure was unnecessary. But certain truths require witnesses. Certain betrayals are so brutal that they deserve only a retribution to the height. Sometimes justice has this face. Groom and bride face to face with the consequences of his actions. The day that should be perfect. Now, sitting on the porch of my new apartment overlooking the Muskova River, I think of how the divorce was faster than anyone expected. Maxim's lawyers gave up dragging the process as soon as they saw my evidence. I kept the company, most of the assets, and got my head up. Emotional recovery took longer than legal procedures. Sometimes I still wake up at night, reaching out to someone who was never really there. Sometimes, in the morning, I look in the mirror and ask, how could I be so blind for so long? But these moments are increasingly rare. I am regaining my life, step by step. I dived into the transformation of my business, a full rebranding under my exclusive command. Customers, who at first hesitated because of the scandal, returned. They saw that quality did not fall, actually improved. Without Maxim mediocre commitments that I always adjusted with diplomacy. The business world has a short memory for personal dramas, especially when there is money involved. 4 months later, my customer base is stronger than ever. I hired 3 new talents, which brought fresh energy. I moved to a light, open office, where no shadow of betrayal hangs in the corners. Alioma and Maxim's castle of letters collapsed with a crash. His PR office lost great customers when the story spread. No trick of public relations could fix such a stained reputation. My ex-husband tried to start over in another city, but the digital trail of his betrayal pursued him everywhere. The last news I had is that they are still together, not for love, but for the shared solitude of the public ridicule and the opportunities that close. They deserve each other, Rita said once during dinner. 2 selfish ones who in the end will devour when no one left to use. I'm not so sure. Maybe they even thrive in this infamous fame, united by the drama of mutual collapse. But increasingly, I realize one thing, Colin, I don't mind thinking about it anymore. With Paulo, we developed a strange friendship. 2 castaways who, after the same wreck, helped get to the beach. We found ourselves for a coffee every 2 weeks, exchanged reports of healing and reconstruction. He took a vacation, spent 2 months wandering between Baikal and Altai in search of himself. He returned with clarity that made me jealous. You know, I almost thanked you today, he said in one of our meetings. It was absurd, almost ridiculous, to thank the most humiliating moment of your life. But you didn't get married. I watched. I had to divorce in truth. It had worse. He was silent, stirring coffee with a slow pensativo. Do you regret doing that so publicly? He had already reflected on this question many times. No, hidden betrayals deserve consequences in daylight. They wanted to use us as props in their theater, just that they became props in mine. And there was more. They were already stealing our key customers, promising them a new unified agency after their marriage. If I had silent, In 6 months, we would have neither business nor reputation. Public exhibition was the only way to stop their plans and alert who trusts us. Paul nodded slowly. My psychologist says he should be angry at you for not telling me before, for turning my pain into a show. But I can't feel this anger, only relief for not getting married to her. Your psychologist is right, I admitted. Maybe I should have acted differently. Perhaps. But, on the other hand, would you really believe? I ignored red signs for months, justified every lie of her. The business flourished without Maximum. I did a rebranding, changed focus, and found that the creative force has always been mine. My new campaigns won 2 sector awards. A great business magazine published an article about women who raised themselves after personal and professional collapses. I refused to discuss divorce details in the interview. I only talked about the strategies that helped me get me back and grow. Sometimes the way was lonely, but loneliness had its advantages. Last week, I received a small package. Inside, the pen drive I had given to Paul on the night of that wedding farce, with a note, "This is no longer necessary." I finally stopped looking back. Thanks for the truth, however cruel it was. I understood perfectly. There comes a time when the tests of betrayal become unnecessary. When you don't have to remember yourself anymore because you are better without them. When the pain turns into something else, not exactly gratitude, but a deep relief from having escaped the bullet that almost hit you. Sometimes I wonder, what if I hadn't seen that notification on the Maximum mobile phone? I would have lived years in happy ignorance, building a life with someone who saw me just a step. The idea makes me shudder. Are you going out with someone? They ask me often. The answer is no, not yet, but soon I will be ready. I am relearning to trust my instincts. I understand that my value is not defined by the inability of someone to see it. I realize that I am stronger than I imagined, not despite the betrayal, but because I chose to get up above her. Yesterday, I received a wedding invitation from one of the guests who was in that show at Metropole. On the card, an observation: "After what I saw at the last ceremony, I promise, this time, the projector will be turned off." It made me laugh. For the first time, I really laugh at this whole story. The truth is that I no longer need projectors or public exhibitions. No great gestures of revenge or justice. What happened that night was not about humiliating them. It was about preventing them from continuing humiliating us, to me and Paul. It was about illuminating the truth before more damage was made. Discovering the worst of fears brings a strange freedom. Yes, I could have acted differently, divorced in silence, warned Paul privately, avoided the scandal. But they would only have found new victims. Now all Moscow knows their true face. This was my responsibility to those who could be the next. Doubts, suspicions, all this is worse than the most bitter truth. As soon as you know where you are, you can decide where to go. And I decided to move on. I create something new and authentic. I surround myself with people whose loyalty does not depend on what they can take from me. The sun sets over the Muskova River, bathing my new home. Argo my glass in a silent toast, not to revenge, not justice, but to the truth, the one that cuts like a blade, but in the end liberates, and to the woman I became, stronger, wiser, and finally truly free. They say the best revenge is a well-lived life. I say, living honestly is the best redemption. The truth was my weapon, but the cure was my victory. Thank you for listening to the end. If something in the story has resonated with you, leave in the comments what marked you the most.